Apologies for absence, please.
Only apologies from Cabinet Member Alison Anthony today, Chair.
Thank you. Any item 2, disclosures of personal prejudicial interests? No, Al? None, thank you.
No.
Item 3, the minutes, to approve the minutes from, when were we? 24th of February 2025, page 1 and page 2. Any matters arising? Can we have a mover, please?
Yeah, I'll move that. Thank you.
And a seconder, please.
I seconded, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you both. And then we move on to item 4, which is Amy's. Amy in?
I've just joined, Chair. Sorry, apologies. I thought
Amy.
we were in Lillian Hopkins' room, so I just have run away back from that office. Sorry.
That's fine.
Apologies.
Do you want 5 minutes?
You might have to remind me which particular item, sorry, is now. Is it the general report?
It's it's report to
Adult Services Early Help.
Sorry. Oh, sorry. Right, start again. Right,
no problem.
Thank you, Ailey. Once I start coughing, I can't stop. I apologise before I start.
No problem. Adult Services Early Help. So this is just an update report. So we last brought a report to you at the end of, actually it was meant to be the October or November meeting, but it ended up coming in early December. And it was just an overview of where we've progressed since then. In terms of that meeting, in terms of that project, so Early Help. So I'm pleased to say we have secured some funding to help move this forward, and we've got some core budget this year as well in terms of our early help and prevention. We've slightly realigned the teams in adult services, so we've got more of a focus in at our front door, so what we call the common access point, to be able to work with people earlier around this preventative approach. We've created a new post of a manager in that team, so a principal officer for early help, which we're just going through the recruitment at the moment. We're going to have a focus around commissioning. So when we look at all our contracts with providers and all our new contracts, we're going to look at how much we can move that provision into that. I'm doing a triangle, but moving into that early help and prevention focus. And also we've had some really good work happening with our third sector partners around a wellbeing offer as well. So we've got 2 members of staff from SCVS, Swansea Council for Voluntary Services, based within our teams, and they're providing wellbeing plans with individuals who come to our front door where that's suitable, where it's not sort of crisis response or immediate response or needing social care or social work intervention, and supporting people in that way. And some just started that work at the beginning of this calendar year, and some early outcomes from that is really positive, that people are being supported in their own communities in different ways. We're also aligning our local area coordination teams with this work, so making sure that we really focus around early help. So I'm just pleased to give you an update just from the last few months, and it's going to be exciting that work going forward, really, to have more of a focus around early help and prevention. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Amy. Any questions for Amy, please, or observations? Thank you, Amy. We appreciate the update. Then we'll. Oh, sorry, Alan.
Alan.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, Chair. It took me a little while to find the little hand symbol before I could get in touch. Just an observation, Amy. I noticed that you got seemed to be quite a large increase in the demand for social care, something like 21%, if I remember rightly, and so forth. And I did hear that it get an extra funding. Is that funding going to help to sort of overcome the increase in demand?
I think, yes, some of the funding will, certainly, but also we know we've got to have a different approach, really. We want to support people sooner and earlier, and with some interventions that we know are successful. So that's an increase in the amount of reablement support we provide to people, whether they're being discharged from hospital, so more bedded reablement, or at-home reablement via dom care, or that's at our front door when people come to us brand new into the service, that we're able to provide them those wellbeing plans or that one-to-one work with a member of staff to support them. So that's our strategy to prevent people having the need for longer term managed care. So I think if we keep going the way we are with the managed care intervention, no, there won't be enough funding, because the demand is just massive. So I think we have to have different approaches.
Yeah, thank you, Amy. I'm sure you're doing everything you can to overcome the extra work. Diolch yn fawr. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Alan. Mair?
Hi all. Amy, the local area coordinators, that works within your team. We haven't had a lack up in the Penderry. Part of the Penderry was covered, and the area then down below Portmead, Blaenau Cattle weren't covered. There have been a lot of people waiting a long time now down this area for lacks, which then this has driven a lot of people not to make contact and going more deeper into the services. We need to really make sure these lacks are out about on the estates and going into centres, because they are needed. And people up here, my side, down this side of the estate where I live, are saying, I haven't seen my local area coordinator. I do need help. And I'm trying to signpost them elsewhere. Some of them will not go into town to the ones I don't go into town. I can't go into town. And this is where the lack comes into play. We need your team make sure the lack is in play in those areas where they are needed, where deprivation is running deep as well. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you, Mair. Amy?
I come back in on that, yeah. So we recognise that, and it's and we're sorry that there's been a gap in 2 areas in Swansea. Actually, we've had a gap for 6 months in terms of the team. So we recognise as well that sometimes if there's a gap because someone might have had a bit of extended period of sick or other areas. So we're trying to build some more resilience into the area coordination team, where in area-based working, the teams are going to work as area teams going forward. We will send some communication out about this, but in terms of just to make sure that if someone's on sick or planned leave as well, you will have a team of 3. So the teams will be working together in teams of 3, covering slightly larger areas, and you'll have a bit more resilience in terms of being able to contact someone. We will get that communication out as soon as possible and fill the vacancies we've got in the team as well. So that's the strategy. I think in terms of support for individuals, please always remember the common access point. Even though the demand is high, we always welcome, if people need any support from us, we are there. We will endeavour to support via our social work teams, via our community wellbeing teams, and also via area coordination. So we're going to build more resilience into that. So it's just not one individual in one geographical area that you have to contact as area members. So we'll get that communication out as soon as we can.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you, Amy. Any more questions for Amy on this item, please? No. We'll move on to item 5, which is Swansea poverty.
Sorry, Chair. Do you mind if I just chip in just to say a huge thank you to Amy and the team. This is a really important piece of work, as Amy referred to, a part of our target operating model of shifting more of our focus and activity towards that early help and that prevention, and it's really good. I think everyone is on board. This is the direction of travel that we really need to go, and so it's good to bring this to committee to kind of get so you're updated on how it's progressing. That was all I wanted to say, is a thank you, really.
Thank you, Lou. Right, any more for Amy on item 4? No. Right, thank you. We'll move on to item 5, which is Swansea Poverty Truth Commission. It's evaluation and update report, and it's for information only. Is Anthony? Hiya, Anthony, you okay? Hiya, how are you? You okay?
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, all.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, Anthony Richards. I'm the Tackling Poverty Development Officer in the Tackling Poverty and Enabling Community Service. Yeah, it's a for information report today. You've had updates previously on the Swansea Poverty Truth Commission, and I'm pleased to have invited Mary Sherwood along today. Mary Sherwood is one of the Swansea Poverty Truth Commission facilitators based in the host organisation, which is Swansea Council for Voluntary Service. I'll introduce Mary in a few minutes, but just briefly, I'll kind of cover the intro of the report just to kind of refresh everyone on, what is a Poverty Truth Commission, what are the kind of key principles, and then Mary can walk us through the key findings of the independent evaluation. So first of all, just by way of an introduction, then Poverty Truth Commissions are about putting people who have lived experience of poverty at the heart of decision making. And I'm really pleased that Swansea is the first place in Wales that established a Poverty Truth Commission. One important thing about Poverty Truth Commissions is that they're not owned or directed by any single organisation. The course of the commission, they develop their own themes, their own priorities, by exploring the stories and experiences of those that have experience of poverty, along with civic and business commissioners who are key individuals in the area that have influence and power and decision-making ability. The way that it works is that a host organisation, as I said, is selected at the early stages of forming a Poverty Truth Commission. So at the start, we had a startup group, a partnership startup group, and Swansea Council for Voluntary Service were selected as the host organisation. So Swansea's, and then a huge amount of work then kind of takes place recruiting commissioners, a process of people getting to know each other, building trust and confidence to be able to share their stories with each other, all leading up to a large kind of official launch event, which took place in October 22. Fantastic event where we all heard the stories of the commissioners that are part of the commission. The commission's run its course since then. I will say that COVID-19 had an impact on delivery and the expected timescales, as you can imagine. And then a celebration event was held in April last year, 2024, which marks the end of the official commission process. There's a load of work that happens beyond that, and I'm going to hand over to Mary now. So one of the things that happened was an independent evaluation was carried out, and on the report that you've got there, you'll see some of the bullet point highlights from that Mary will walk through, and there's a link to the full report, which you can view it in your own time. Mary, you happy to come in?
Yeah, now that I've switched my laptop on so it won't die. Hello everybody.
Hiya Mary, how are you?
Hey Mandy, good thanks.
You okay?
Yeah.
There we are. We'll open the floor to you. Welcome.
Well, thank you. It's been the Poverty Truth Commission has been absolutely amazing. The people involved in it, as you'll see from the report, are in two categories. You've got community commissioners, who are people with lived experience of poverty, and you've got civic and business commissioners, who are people in positions of potentially decision-making power, although funnily enough, they often don't seem to feel that they are. That's quite interesting. The evaluation report summarises the main sort of recommendations that came forward from the Commission, and those are things that are still being discussed and worked upon. I don't mind whizzing through those if you like. It also found that Swansea did really well in deciding where the Commission should be placed. So as Anthony said, it's not owned by any one organisation, but it was collectively agreed that STVS would be a good organisation to host the Commission. And what that meant was that as community commissioners disclosed difficulties that they were experiencing in their life or challenges that they needed help with, STVS was really well placed to directly introduce them through the massive range of services that STVS provides that support people in poverty and just in general difficulty. They were able to access counselling support, help with housing, help with benefit applications, help with contacting different council departments. So that's kind of like almost an additional benefit that was particularly seen in Swansea. Other Poverty Truth Commissions around the UK have found that the response to people's individual difficulties has been a bit patchy, because that's not really what a PTC is for. So what a PTC is for trying to influence local decision making. And it's not even really about looking at particular areas of activity or particular decisions. It's more about influencing how decision makers think about poverty, so that in all the decisions that they go on to make, they are more aware of how someone in poverty would experience that decision. So through a lot of qualitative evaluations, the evaluator that we brought in, external evaluator, not from anywhere around here, she found out that the Civic and Business Commissioners had really had their eyes opened to how people locally experience poverty, and felt much better equipped and much more likely to, in the normal course of their decision making, take better account of how poverty affects people's lives. And that's exactly the result that we do want from a Poverty Truth Commission. So in terms of specific recommendations, we had 3 working groups. The themes of the working groups were voted on by all the participants after a period of sharing personal stories and experiences, which seemed to suggest themes that it would be helpful to focus on. One of the themes was mental health, and another was rehumanizing systems and services, which is very, very cross-cutting. And the third one was called community expertise. The community expertise working group really looked at the way that communities are hotbeds of expertise. There are people there who know what life is like in that area for those people. And people who are designing and delivering services in those areas often don't tap into that expertise and don't even really know that it's there. And the people who live in the communities don't necessarily know how they might influence the design and delivery of services and how they might have dialogue with service providers. So the recommendation from that working group was to consider peer mentoring schemes, where you bring together somebody with lived experience of poverty who is a user of a service, and somebody who works for the service provider organisation, and that they work together for a while. It could be one day. So we piloted this in our own education department in Swansea for one day, or it could be over a longer period of time, to enable the service provider and the service user to really have meaningful dialogue about what works and what doesn't work and how things could be better. What I would say is we have discovered through the pilots that we did and through subsequent work since the end of the commission that the Poverty Truth approach focuses really heavily on relationship building. You know, it works because the community commissioners and the civic and business commissioners have established a very trusting and open relationship, which enables them to be very, very honest with each other. And if you do a peer mentoring scheme in an organisation where you bring in 2 peer mentors, community representative, service representative, who don't know each other, that's not going to work. There needs to be some relationship building aspect to the peer mentoring first to enable that quality of relationship and discussion that we saw in the PTC. The mental health working group had a lot of recommendations. Basically, there were 3 main recommendations. One was that Swansea is full of universally accessible services that nobody needs to be referred to or be put on a waiting list for. They can just turn up and get involved. And these are things which, if you remember the Swansea Council's old prevention strategy, this was tier 1 prevention, stuff that anybody can access, but which has such a beneficial impact on people's mental health and well-being that it is considered preventative. It builds their resilience against future mental health crisis. What we found is that knowledge about these universal services is really lacking in communities, and signposting needs to be improved. So if we remember the days when safeguarding became everybody's business, if we make signposting everybody's business, because we're in the grip of such a mental health crisis now, but largely because of increasing poverty and uncertainty in people's lives. We've got really great tools in Swansea. We've got the Hope in Swansea app. We've got Tidy Minds and Sorted Supported, which are two really brilliant websites managed by STVS that are full of information about services that people can access. And we would just love to see more people aware of those, so that whether at the community level or on the professional level, if someone starts to disclose that they're having anxiety, feeling stressed in their life, that they can be signposted to something that will give them a bit of relief and support and connect them with other people. Second recommendation from the mental health working group was that GPs need to look at their accessibility. If you are having a serious mental health crisis and you require medical intervention, you need to get put on a medical pathway, then it's no good having a GP whose phone line is open for 20 minutes at 8 in the morning and it's just so hard to get through. So that's a very straightforward recommendation, really. And the third one was that once somebody is on that pathway for formal medical mental health intervention, that they need some kind of advocacy. So actually, what we recommended was looking at the local area coordination model and having people like local area coordinators, but who are specifically focused on supporting people through the mental health pathway, because it's utterly confusing. It's a very confusing maze of services, referrals, timetables, and there's so much admin involved. And actually, if you're at the point where your mental health is that bad that you qualify for this pathway, you actually can't manage all of that. It's like one of our commissioners said, you have to be in tip-top mental health to be able to access mental health services. So those are some really interesting recommendations from the mental health working group. And the third working group, Rehumanising Systems and Services, created a charter which any organisation can adopt, but it comes with a health warning that, you read these bullet points on this charter, and basically it's a framework for just behaving with decency and respect towards your service users, really. And I'm sure any service provider would read that charter and say, well, of course we can adopt this charter. And then the question we would put to you is, why do you need to adopt a charter? Why isn't this automatically happening anyway? And there will be good reasons for that, which need to be investigated. It's not happening anyway because you don't have enough staff. It's not happening anyway because the staff you have don't really know how to answer the questions appropriately, don't know how to keep someone informed about progress, aren't sure how to respond to that person in crisis that's speaking to them. So if any organisation is going to adopt the charter, there needs to be significant groundwork in identifying the barriers that already exist in that organisation to the charter just happening naturally, if that makes sense. So the evaluation did find that the Commission had produced really great results, and it's difficult to quantify that because these are things that are going to be rolling on for a long time. As discussions about the recommendations carry on, some of them might be acted upon, some of them might not. But what we definitely have done is dramatically increase the confidence and voice of the community commissioners who participated, to the point that they also added another recommendation, which is that there should permanently be a lived experience panel. They want their voice to continue being heard. So they can continue to meet and have their say on consultations or, strategy drafts, things like that, that might have an impact on them. And we also saw, as I've already mentioned, the impact on the civic and business commissioners, who now have a much better understanding of poverty in Swansea. Okay.
Thank you, Mary.
Oh.
Any questions or observations for either Anthony or Mary, please?
No.
Right, I can see Ailey Gwilym, but I can see Anthony Richards' hand up on my screen, sorry. And I've got Patience. So Anthony, do you want to come in first and then we'll have Patience?
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to thank Mary for her time this afternoon, for sharing the results there. In the report, you will see there are some brief next steps. I'm aware that the committee has already had a for information report on the charter. that Mary referred to, and we're exploring the option of the housing department piloting that to look at, you know, what it would mean for us in a department in the local authority to implement that. So that conversation is at the early stages of taking place. And I don't know if my colleague Lee Cambouli is going to want to comment on this, but in terms of that recommendation of a lived experience panel, I think when you come to the item which is next on the refresh of the tackling poverty strategy, you'll see that there's a significant kind of one of the key new themes that's in the draft strategy is about live voice, the prominence of live voice in the work that we do. So I'd very much see that going forward. But we continue to work alongside and with the facilitation team from the Poverty Truth Commission to explore ways that we can learn from those recommendations and take those forward. I just wanted to add that and to thank Mary. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Anthony. Patience?
That's all right, Chair. I think Anthony has covered what my question was going to be, was really going to be about next steps. So I think, yeah, that's pretty much answered. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Patience. Leslie?
Yes, apologies, Mary. I missed the beginning of your presentation because my system decided to chuck me out and it took me 10 minutes to get back in again. But one thing that I noticed with your third next step to pilot an implementation of rehumanising systems and services charter. I don't know if it's just me, but I think over the last few years, there has been some really awful rhetoric going around about people who are in poverty. And a lot of it sort of making a huge stigma about it and almost making out that people in poverty was their fault, isn't it? You know, they're only poor because they choose to be or whatever. Always dumping the blame on the person. So anything at all, I feel, and hopefully some of the participants on the commission would agree with this, anything to stop that and stop people thinking that and explain to people that in fact that's a load of rubbish, I think has got to be a step in the right direction. So I'm very pleased to see that. Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. Hiya, Mary. Long time no see, you're looking well. A lot of work has been done over the last few years. I think for me, it's again about how we touch those very, very vulnerable individuals who probably don't know, probably haven't got the confidence to come forward. We talk about mental health physically, emotionally drains you. So how do we promote and encourage the work that's been done to entice people to come and tell us their lived experience, their life experience, because you know, every life experience is different and people live differently. They experience different things. So for me, it's thank you very much for the work that's been done because it's massive and probably means so much to so many across the city. But how do we touch upon those who are probably hidden away because of where they are in life, because you know, they haven't got that confidence to come and ask for help, or don't know, or are just totally not aware of what is available. And that worries me because we can knock on the door on so many and encourage so many, but there are so many left behind. So the next steps, yes, I appreciate the work being done, but how do we get the awareness out there then?
Yeah. Thanks, Mandy. What we would really love to see is a Swansea where everybody knows where to look. Everybody knows about Tidy Minds, Sorted Supported, and the Hope in Swansea app, you know, and that all the organisations and clubs and societies that are running anything that might help people just be able to sit, have a cup of tea in the company of others who they may open up to, you know, that everybody just knows about these things. We just need to get them into everybody's awareness. So if local councillors could promote them on their Facebook pages, you know, if this is about any kind of awareness raising campaign, isn't it? So in the past, welfare rights team has done really good take up campaigns, raising awareness of things that people didn't know that they were entitled to. The council has done really great safeguarding campaigns, trying to reinforce the idea that everybody's responsible for spotting these signs and making appropriate reports and referrals. Similarly, if there could be a real big embracing of, like, nobody should be suffering alone, and you don't need to have a mental health crisis. It's a highly preventative mechanism just for a lot of people, for school teachers, for childcare workers, for people that work in the shops, you know, for everybody in Swansea who might get chatting at the bus stop to somebody who discloses that they're struggling a bit, that they're getting quite stressed, to be able to say, oh, have you looked on this website? There might be something that could interest you. There might be, what do you like to do? Have you ever tried this? Have you ever tried that? You know, this is how we create a more resilient community and people that are more aware of the importance of those early level services to help people's mental health. Yeah.
Thank you, and thank you both. You know, we appreciate the work that's being done for our residents, and hope that we've got the awareness that, as you say, Mary, we can put the, you know, put those support mechanisms out there by signposting. Sorry, I got a bad throat, I have, and a bad chest. But you know, it's our duty as well, and it is the duty of, as I would say, professionals, school teachers, everybody, anybody who touches somebody, we should be very aware. And it is like the safeguarding agenda, which was massive, and I think we all still learn every day from that. But sincerely, thank you for the work that you have done, and I will say your team, but Anthony's team. So thank you very, very much for coming here today. We do appreciate your time, Mary, and you're more than welcome to come and report back on your next steps.
Yeah, by all means, you can invite me back. I've just finished a Welsh Government funded project in a couple of Swansea secondary schools where we used a poverty truth approach to have really great conversations between parents on low incomes and managers of the school. That's been really successful. I'm happy to share that report with you when it's done. And in answer to Les's point about the stigma of poverty, you may have heard from Anthony before, or you may in future, about a lot of work that's going on between the Wales Council for Public Policy and Swansea Council and the team from the Poverty Truth Commission, looking at poverty stigma. And they've got a national poverty stigma insight network where people interested in challenging that poverty stigma are working together and meeting each other. And Les, it's open to anybody. You can join if you want to. So there's a lot going on that the Poverty Truth Commission kind of kick-started that's still in motion and still doing really great stuff. So I'm very happy to come back again and chat to you more about it if you like at some point.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Take care, Mary.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Anthony. And now we move on to item 6. Oh, excuse me. Update on tackling poverty strategy refresh for information. Lee? Or no, it's Lee, please.
Yeah, sadly it's me, Chair.
That's okay. Hi, Lee, you okay?
I'm very good, thank you. Hope everyone here as well this lovely sunny afternoon. And yes, thank you for having us back to give a for info update. I feel like Anthony and Mary have done a good bit of groundwork setting for me, so it probably will be a very short update, but you know, I think I'm certainly playing into the right space here, so thank you. Yes, just for people's information, so this is an update on our progress we're making in the refresh of the Council's tackling poverty strategy. I feel like I've talked a lot about the strategy with this group and others recently, but just to get people up to speed. So we've been working on refreshing the strategy for some time now, because the last published version of the strategy goes back to 2017, and it's quite an important opportunity, given a lot that's happened in that time, for us to refresh a lot of the aspects about our approach to tackling poverty in Swansea. So the report is pretty succinct in the sense of, I've previously reported to this group before about the strategy itself, the work we've been doing to develop it with the surveys we've done, with the engagement work we've done, bringing it through scrutiny program, taking it to, we took it to a cabinet CMT away day earlier on this year. So we've done a fair amount of engagement work with a draft strategy that has been compiled with a lot of lived experience put into it, a lot of insight from the likes of the Swansea Poverty Truth Commission, through various engagements with other public bodies, and input in things like the Welsh Government child poverty strategy. So a lot of it has kind of all started to take shape, and then we spent the last 5 or 6 months really just finalising the document, taking it through various boards, leadership groups, taking it to various departments and stakeholders, and we're finally kind of at that point now where it's shaped up in what I feel is a good state for us now to go out to public consultation. We've just got one last little hurdle, which is we've taken it to cabinet to get approval for the public consultation itself. So we're just waiting to get on the agenda there. But the intention is that we will then launch a full public consultation, 6 to 8 weeks of lots of engagement work, lots of publicity, doing a lot of work with our corporate comms colleagues to really promote the opportunity. We'll also be doing a lot of face-to-face stuff in the communities. We've mentioned already in this meeting about local area coordinators and people like that, who are a good sort of town criers almost, in the sense of a lot of these important messages we want to kind of shout from the rooftops. We want to get a lot of people excited about and engaged with. So really keen to kind of use the resources, use our connections within the communities to get this message out there. And of course, elected members being a key part of that as well. At that point then, once we've completed the public consultation, we will be pulling all of the contributions, the comments, the suggestions together to finalise the version that will actually go out for launch, and that we will then promote on the website. We will then promote with some strong promotion activities, I hope. I know I've spoken to the leader, I've spoken to a chief executive. They're very keen, I think, as was discussed earlier, that this is part of very much, again, making tackling poverty everyone's business, and that sort of idea and that intention to kind of really promote this as a strong strategy that we all want, not just the council, but all of our partnerships, all of our fellow public service organisations to be a part of that journey going forward. So that's pretty much what we'll be presenting. But we'll see how the consultation goes. Really interested to talk to people. Myself, Anthony, and others will be out there face to face and trying to get a good sense of what the communities feel, suggestions they can have. And then the next step that follows on that will be to develop an action plan. Now, that's probably even more important than strategy to me, because that is an area where I think we'll do a lot more lived experience, working in a co-productive way. As Mary said earlier, that it's so important we build on the success that the Swansea Poverty Truth Commission has already given us, and we want to do that with the recommendations that they gave us in the evaluation, by looking at a lived experience panel that will help us take that action plan to the next level. So we'll be starting that process in alignment with the public consultation. Actually, I'm hoping we'll get lots of interesting people to be involved in that as we shape that work going forward. So that's it in terms of the update. I'm happy to field any questions. Also happy to talk a little bit more about the strategy itself, but I do appreciate I've brought that to this group before. So yeah, very happy to take any questions, Chair.
Thank you. Any questions or observations for Lee, please? I think for me, Lee, next steps, and I think it's very important. I know Leslie has got a passion with making it more accessible to more people, and it has to be easily accessible. So easy read versions are probably on the agenda for Leslie and myself and everybody here. And I suppose we learn, and we do learn as we move on. But it's important this is important to the people who need to access the services and access. So easy read and Welsh language and all those accessibility tools. We thank you for considering all that and adding it to your, because it's important. And I think for anyone who's struggling to pick up anything that's difficult, we just need quick fix. Yes, no, face-to-face is probably the most important tool that we have, but we can't reach everyone all the time. So I appreciate the work that's been done, and the next steps are obviously very, very important on how we progress and how we detail and resolve a lot of situations for a lot of people out there. So thank you for coming along again today. I'll ask again, are there any questions for Lee or any observations? No. Thank you.
Thank
We
you very much,
appreciate your time. Thank you. And then we move on to item 7, Social Care Tackling Poverty Transformation Committee. It's the annual report 24-25. And that is item 7. Simon?
Yeah. Hi.
Hiya. How are you? You okay?
Yeah. Do you want me to take do an introduction to the report? Yes.
Yeah, you can if you wish. It's nice to see you.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Yes. Go on, Simon.
I'm Simon Jones. I work in the corporate performance and strategy team, and this is a summary report outlining the programme of work for the last 12 months. It will contribute to a combined report that I think goes to Scrutiny Programme Committee based on the work of all of the committees that have been taking place. But this report showcases the breadth of transformation work that's been taking place within the council, but in support of the corporate priorities around safeguarding social care and tackling poverty. And the theme of transformation and co-production and the value of the lived experience and voice of this is very much a theme that's been in the earlier discussions on the earlier reports, and that's touched on in this report. Transforming adults, transforming children, child and family services, enabling communities are all part of a wider programme within the council around the successful and sustainable Swansea programme, and how co-production is very much in the fore of that programme as well. So the chair at the very start of the work this year wanted to set out a very ambitious programme for the work for this committee, and I tried in this report to reflect that breadth of work really, and the ambition behind it, because some of the reports, some of the subjects were carried forward from last year, and particularly in reference to the volunteering policy work, which is still ongoing, but has evolved over that time from the regional work, the work with CVS, the co-producing of products within that, the manager's toolkit and the and so forth, and into now the our HR are taking it forward with trade unions and our staff, our employees. So and also the as Lee's mentioned, and we're very pleased to see this ongoing evolution of the tackling poverty strategy from the early days around co-production, consultation, to the work incorporating the work of the Poverty Truth Commission, and now towards action planning and next steps. So some of these works are longer standing. But the report also highlights, tries to highlight some of the outcomes and some of the value that the committee's added in the discussions through that time. It only touches on that, I mean, a lot of the value of the group is in the questioning of the unpicking of certain themes, isn't it? And the report can only sort of give brief consideration to that, really. So we try to. So the work has also heard. So the committee's also heard about assisted technology and how that's promoting independence. We heard about the planned launch of a smart home suite, which is very much looking towards the future in helping citizens think about planning ahead for their care. and looking at the full range of equipment, devices, aids that are available to people now to support them in their own home. We heard about digital inclusion, how that will be a vital consideration towards as more and more services are thinking about ways of which there could be new approaches to access. How the committee very much stressed that we need to think about the importance of tackling the barriers to digital inclusion, such as digital poverty, digital exclusion for some areas, and the need to gain new skills in using digital tools. So digital transformation has been now, and digital inclusion has been incorporated into the tackling poverty strategy. So we were very pleased about that. The cabinet member presented a report on the earlier report on the adult services early help, and Amy's updated us a bit on that this earlier, and there was a strong focus from this committee on how the proposed changes initially could be communicated to the public, because obviously and different areas having different needs in that. Really, praise was given to the one-stop shop information hub in the Waterfront Museum every month, but and how that brings people and organisations together, and more approaches were the committee felt more approaches were needed of that type in and possibly more areas as well. So we also heard about transition, and the head of Child and Family Services presented the importance of early planning in transition from children to adults, and for children with disabilities and additional learning needs, and how the council is trying to show commitment to that agenda, and also setting out a vision and ambition in how to make this a positive experience for children and young people. And work is underway on taking this work forward. The committee has also learned how we are directing support to parents and carers of children with additional needs, as well as respite and short breaks care offers. We're also targeting some of the wellbeing support, and example was around the recent Coast programme. I think around Here For You at Winter was an example of that. But these are examples really of joined up thinking which this group is trying to promote, really, isn't it? This idea of the wellbeing agenda, the prevention agenda, supporting demand at the front door of social care. So the report also acknowledges the transformation work, and Mary's talked about that, around the Poverty Truth Commission, really, and I think that it was transformation at different levels in terms of at the individual, how the individual can experience transformation through being a part of a co-productive journey. And we obviously this was highlighted in the chart for charter for rehumanizing services and systems. So we've talked about the development of the tackling poverty strategy, and the next phase of that. The report also looks at the adult services day opportunities and proposals around working across the continuation of need in the different types of day services, and how that might work in the future, and the commitment to working co-productively to design how that might look, and similar work around the continuum of need in children's child and family services, looking at the range of services to support and placement options to support that within the children's services. So and that work supports the elimination of profit agenda from Welsh Government, or as part of Welsh Government. So the committee's heard about plans for in-house residential, but that what was it? Particularly the committee was pleased to see that this involved collaborative work with health and education in a joined-up approach. So looking ahead, this report mentions that there's been a lot of progress in these areas, but there might be that looking ahead that a number of these areas of work will be continuing, and that the consideration might be given to how that might look in the next work programme for future committees. So I think, obviously we've earlier talked about tackling poverty strategy and next steps, and the charter for rehumanising services as examples of that, really. That's all I would want to say on the report. As I say, it'll go into a more combined report that's going forward to the Scrutiny Programme Committee. Thanks.
Thank you, Simon.
Thank you, Simon. Right, who's the two? I can see Leslie. Alison?
Sorry, Chair. I think the report's actually going on to Cabinet. I think they're all being
Cabinet
combined
this
and
time,
going
is it?
on to Cabinet, yeah.
Okay.
Leslie?
Yeah, thanks. First of all, just to forewarn you, I've got about 4 hopefully quick points. I'll be as quick as I can. But first of all, thanks. The report overall, great start. A couple of things. One, on the digital inclusion, can we also emphasise, you did mention the word exclusion, and that there will always be some people who have not, will not, cannot access computers, internet, and all the rest of it. And I think we are still looking at that. So I think it's worth a mention, because that has been well, if it hasn't been raised by anybody else, it's been certainly raised by me, because it's one of my big things. So I'd like to see that included. With the looking ahead, I notice at the moment we've got just the 3 things there. I think it makes it look as though we're not going to be doing much, which of course isn't going to be the case at all, because a lot of the things that we have looked at have still got developments, still got things that are being done. So I think maybe in that paragraph we could also say a number of the schemes that we've looked at this year, we will also be looking to follow up in the coming year. And in fact, I'm pretty sure I've only got I have got 2 more. One, I think I'd like to emphasise the fact that we're doing great inroads into co-production, which I think has been one of the most important things. It's another thing that I'm really keen on. Over the last few years, I think it makes such a difference, particularly with things like the Poverty Truth Commission. How the hell can you look at something like that if you don't involve and listen to the people affected? You can't do it. And yet many years ago, maybe not even that many years ago, a lot of us would sit up in our ivory towers, decide everything that was going to go on and affect other people, when in fact we didn't know what they were going through, so, which is ludicrous. So I'm really now quite passionate about co-production. And the final thing I think I want to add into the report is thanks to all the officers and all the work that's been done over the last year. Because without you and your support and your ideas and sort of feeding back and contributing, we wouldn't be where we are now. And I think we are definitely ahead of the game. And I'm pleased and feel quite privileged to be on this committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. I think for me, it is a huge thank you for Amy and Lee, Helen and Lucy Friday, and for Julie Davis, of course, and for Simon, and for everyone that's contributed, the 3 cabinet members that have been here supporting, Hayley, Louise and Alison. So thank you. And I will never forget our Alison, Democratic Services. Thank you very much for the support you've given. It's been, quite an ambitious year. And even though it might not look like a lot when it's written down, but it's massive. And it does mean so much to so many people. And I've learned a lot this year. I have learned a lot this year. So thank you to you all, because this is the last meeting of this year, for putting up with me. And it's been a pleasure chairing this committee, because we've put a lot into it, and without the officer support we wouldn't have been there. Definitely, Al, without you we wouldn't have been there, and without the cabinet members. So thank you very, very much for all your commitment, and it does make a difference to the people we support every day, which we probably don't appreciate the work that we do ourselves. And I always say, if I can help one a year, I'm happy with that, but we help a lot more than one a year. So a massive thank you from me to you all, and I know if Patience was here she would say the same. But a job well done. Thank you all. A fantastic end of year report, and let's hope we can do better next year. So thank you, a huge thank you from me, and I sincerely mean that.
More next year.
Thank you. So that's it. Oh, Louise, hi, hello, coming in.
No, I'm just going to say, yeah, again, thank you to yourself, Chair, and the committee for sort of going through the items that we worked sort of together co-productively on the work plan for the year with the officers and members of the committee. So be looking forward to sort of starting that, looking at next year's work plan. I know I'm hopefully not speaking out of turn for both adults and child and family services. There'll be stuff to bring about our new target operating model and how we sort of bring that transformation and get the committee's views on that as we go forward.
Thank you, Louise. So I shall love you and leave you, and sincere thanks, I mean it sincerely, for all your support. And let's hope we can do that little bit better next year, guys. But thank you all sincerely, and go and enjoy the sunshine when the sun is shining. So thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
And
Meeting.
you too, Mandy. Thank you.
It's all right.